What you are spending a third of your life on, I think it's too important for you not to care. It's hard for you to achieve any of your goals without people. So it means that organizations cannot run just with money. They still need people to run these things, to make these things work. One of the important things the leader should have is how to sell a vision, because that's probably the only thing you have, especially when it's at the earliest phase. So for founders that take branding seriously, what it means is that they are clear. There's clarity on who they are. There's clarity on what they want to achieve. And then once there's clarity, the job of communicating it is less cumbersome. So I was thinking about this, and then I was thinking about work, how work is a big part of people's lives. Like, on the average, everybody spends about 20 to 30% of their lives yearly at work. I mean, someone working 8 hours a day, full time, they're spending a lot of time. That's like 1/3 of their life at work. And that means that, there's a popular thing people say that people really don't care about work. They just want to get their money and get out of the way and just live a life. But what you're spending a third of your life on, I think it's too important for you not to care. So it means that people care about, low-key, they care about the work they do. They care about who they do it for. You understand? And that means that they are probably painstaking. When you get to a level, when you left the survival level of I just want to get a job and just get by, then you get to another level where you are careful. You are thinking that of the work you want to do, of who you want to do it for. So imagine someone who has done like 4, 5, 6 years as a career professional, understand, and then they want to change jobs. Now, at that point, getting a job is not the bigger problem. It is probably getting a job that can make them better as humans, not just fulfilling a deliverable or meeting a KPI, but picking a job that I know that this job, I can find some sense of fulfillment there. That's on the work side. And for the organization side, things can't get done without people. Like, it is impossible for organizations to achieve their aims. Most of the time, organizations have like, okay, maybe you are facing government, you are facing brands, you are facing customers. It's hard for you to achieve any of your goals without people. So we talk about system, like, okay, you can build systems, but who builds systems? People. Who maintains systems? People. Who scale systems? People. When a system is faulty, who fixes it? People. Who executes systems? People. So it means that organizations cannot run just with money or with systems or with infrastructure. They still need people to run these things, to make these things work. So what I'm trying to establish is that from the people side as the employee, they care about the work they do because that's a big part of their life. And for the organization side as well, they can't do without people. Like, it is almost impossible for you to run anything without people. So it means that the quality of people you get, a level of motivation of people that do work for you, is dependent on the output that you get on the outside. So the people that work in the organization, the people that are attending to the users, attending to the end goal, you need, the more motivated they are, the more comfortable they are with the work they do, the more involved beyond just KPIs or end goal that they are with the work they're doing, the better the result you can get. So it comes to how does branding play a role in keeping these guys motivated? And I see it like this, there are a lot of touch points. So before someone, when it comes to employee and particular organization, there are a lot of touch points that you go through from before you enter the company to even when you leave. So there's the first stage. You know about the company. So what do they do? What do they stand for? You know about them. The next thing is, okay, you apply. You see an opening. You just shoot your shot. You apply for the roles. That's another stage. The next stage is that now you've gotten the job. There's the onboarding, and after onboarding, there is the work itself, talking about learning and development, mentorship, doing the work. Then there are events or initiatives that you do with your colleagues, with the company, with maybe even like the community. Then there's offboarding. So you're leaving the company. How do you leave the company? And I feel like every of these phases that I mentioned, pre-application, application, onboarding, activities or events, the work proper, talking about learning, mentorships, offboarding, there is branding at every phase. So I'm just trying to break it down. So so before you join the company, for instance, you know about the company or not. If you don't know about the company, it's probably not even good for expectation. But if you know about the company, how do you know about them? So maybe from things you've seen about them, okay, I was watching an advert and then I just discovered this company. Or you know someone that works there and the way the person talks about the company makes you interested. So how much a company sells their story, how much they've been able to influence people even beyond their immediate target audience, you understand, is important. Now for big organizations, multinationals and the likes, at the corporate level, at the corporate brand level, the talents are probably one of the most important stakeholders that they have. Because organizations that have 20K staff, 50K, 100K members of staff, that is a lot not to think about them. So the talents, the people that do the work for you, and I mean, imagine a company that has 100K staff. Just imagine how many people join the company and leave the company week on, month in, month out. So it means that for a startup that has 100K users, that they care about the users, that's how much big organizations care about the people that work for them. Because the bigger you get, the more you understand that these people are too important for our output. And then because of that, you are taking them as a stakeholder. And when I say talent, I mean those who work for the company and those who don't even care about the company yet. People who would work in the company 5-10 years from now. That's why a lot of these guys do a lot of internships, fellowships. They do a lot of activations for university students because they're also trying to position to get the best talent. So at that phase of pre-application is when you are trying to, through branding, to have like an image for this prospective talent. People who don't even care to know that, okay, this is what this company stands for. This is what they do. This is their vision. This is what they stand for. And then you start to care. Even though you don't need to, you start to care. That, I mean, anybody, if you ask anybody who's going that, what company do you want to work with? They mention companies. And you say, why? They've not worked there before. They probably don't even know anybody that's worked there. But there's just this sense of, I like what I see. I like how their employees talk about them. I like how, I mean, I saw their CEO at an event and I liked how he looked. They partnered, I mean, they sponsored an event and I was there. I liked how their booth was organized. Those things are outshoot of a company that is deliberate about perception. You understand? So that preparation phase is probably the most important in this whole thing. And then once you apply, now there are some companies you apply to, and then the way they write the JD, job description, how the process is, maybe the first stage, from when you do the interview, you have an idea of what the company is. You have an idea of, okay, these people are good people, or these people are excellent people. These people, they don't care. They don't care about me. They care about me. So at that phase of application, you're starting to understand that you're starting to get a better view of the company by talking to their staff. The way they show up in interviews, the way they talk to you, the way they are listening to you, the way they answer questions that you ask them. Even when you ask them questions about their company, what they say, how they say it. And now to the onboarding phase, which is make or break, because how much you settle into a company is dependent on how well the onboarding was. So you are totally new to a company, you don't know how they do things, you don't know how they operate, and then you just get into work. It probably won't be the best landing for you, But if you join a company and then the onboarding is super tight, is super effective, you learn the things you're supposed to learn, meet people you're supposed to meet, you talk to different people, you read their guidelines, you read their documentations to know what it is, what it means to work in that organization, then you're off to a good start. And once that phase is sorted, like you are properly onboarded, then your motivation is high. Because there's this fear people are when they're joining a new organization. Maybe not fear, maybe like a sort of apprehension that, okay, what if I'm not a good fit, anxiety, what if anything. But when they get in and then the first 2-3 weeks, they are properly onboarded, they understand what it means to work in that company, they know that the company cares for them, they know that they can always ask questions, they can always, and all these things are offshoots from branding, so to speak. So think about it. A CEO has 20,000 staff working in his company. Now, if he doesn't, and that's a lot of organizations have people experience, employer branding departments. What do those guys do? Platforming the staff, seeing how they can influence perception through their employees. You see a lot of companies now open Instagram pages or social media pages inside this company, or they see design teams. They have why do they need all those things? They are just making you feel like they are bringing you into the company even without being there. You follow a design page of maybe Wise or Spotify, inside Spotify or Wise design team, and then you just feel like these people are good people and you've never even worked there. That's branding. You understand? And first and foremost, like I was saying, is that when you have a large organization, you have like a lot of employees. If you don't take them seriously, it will be a big problem for you. Good. So the thing is that, so when I'm printing examples from big organizations, it's not because, when you become big is when you start to do these things. If you don't do these things, you won't become that big in that sense. If you don't do these things you're supposed to do, you won't even get to that level that you're now 20K, 30K staff. But the thing is that the effect is much more obvious when it is large. You understand? So for instance, when a company has 10 staff, 20 staff, and then someone leaves the company, you understand? You feel like, we can replace this person because it's still early phase. You feel like you are prone to make mistakes. But a large organization, you know that there are a lot of things that they're not struggling with. You feel like you deserve better. You feel like, I'm in this organization, I'm just one of 50 people in my department. You understand? I deserve to be cared for because this organization can probably afford to do things. When you join a small organization, you feel like, okay, it's still at the early phase. Maybe there's things that they don't have covered, like maybe finances, investor backing. They feel like they're still at a very rough phase. You understand? So you can probably take, maybe you even join a company, maybe there are no benefits. Maybe there are maybe they don't give you. So for instance, if I join a startup that is still at the pre-seed phase, if they don't give me a work laptop, maybe I don't care. But if I join Apple, I'm like, not even a MacBook. You understand? Like it's almost impossible. But so what I'm saying is that for the smaller organizations, they can still get away with not doing it, in the sense that the effect might not be a lot. You understand? But for the bigger organizations, so imagine that you are working in, let's say, a company of like 50K staff, and your department, you're like maybe 50 people in your department. You understand? And then someone leaves that department, and you understand how or why the person left. Now that one person probably has direct influence over 49 other people. And then because of that, it's like a rot. And then people are like, oh, so this is how people are treated here. This is how it happens here. This is how it happens here. And then that's like something that goes on their mind. You understand? Someone else leaves, and then they say that, okay, it seems these guys don't care about us. But I feel like for the smaller organizations, you probably the thing is you are excused a lot, because they're like, okay, small organization, they're still trying to get these things right and the likes. Yeah. But I feel like overall, even small organizations need to take it seriously. But it's just that for the small organizations, they can get away without it. But for big organizations, they can't. It is do or die for them. And therefore, startup, the level of talent that startup are fighting for is not the biggest talent. It's not the most senior talent. Sorry, it's usually mid-level, early senior level, and maybe a few like managerial level. You understand? So yeah. So for it's super important that I mean the company, the HR department is like another company. Do you get what I'm saying? So when you have HR and then you're overseeing 20,000 people, that's as good as having a startup that has 20,000 users. You understand? But the difference is that in this organization, your 20,000 users are the ones that directly affect the millions and billions that you serve. So if they are not properly motivated, you understand, it would affect the work. You understand? So it means that for a company that has 20,000 employee that they are, I mean, with the HR department that they are maybe like catering for in that sense, it is even a bigger responsibility than catering 20,000 users, because your users are the end goal. But here, these employees are very important for the end goal. So you need to take care of them to be able to serve the end goal. So I think it's about selling a vision. You understand? Someone was saying that leaders should, one of the important things the leader should have is how to sell a vision, because that's probably the only thing you have, especially when it's at the earliest phase. You understand? You probably can't. I mean, so Apple now can attract anybody because they have the name, they have the brand, they have the money, they have the pedigree, everything. But for a younger organization, you don't have any of those. The only thing you have is to sell a dream, sell it effectively, so that someone sees that and they have a reason to believe, and they have a reason to live beyond these obvious things of pedigree, money, and the likes. So that was what Tim Cook did. So he spoke to the CEO, and then he just saw another picture that never existed before in his reality. You understand? So for smaller organizations, for startups, the leader, the CEO, that's why it's for me it's not good enough when a startup that is less than 40 people are hiring, and the hire is not talking to the CEO before they join the company. Like, is how big are you that you don't care about the one person that's joining your company of 25? You understand? Because that person is working for you. He's working for the vision that you are casting, or that you cast. So, like, it's important that they hear that from you directly, not just your HR department or head of HR or the department lead. It's good that they hear that from you directly, because that face of your company, the biggest thing you are selling is the vision, is the dream, is the idea that this thing can become big. This thing can become something remarkable. Yeah. So one of the things that a branding process can give you, one of the most important things a branding process can give you, it's not even the logo. It is the foundation. Like, leaders or startup founders or CEOs, they have an idea of what they want to do. They have an idea of why they're doing what they want to do, but they probably don't have the right words to articulate it. So what branding does is it helps you find those words, and then it also helps you believe more in those words, and it helps you be able to tell that story. in a more remarkable way. That's why, I mean, branding process, you have things like vision, mission, positioning, customer segmentation, brand story, archetype, and all those things. It is helping it is helping the founder or the stakeholders understand better who they are. The things they know in their head that they probably can't articulate, that they probably can't put words to. It's helping them put words to it. Also helping them fine-tuning it so that it's easier for them to tell the story to people. That's one part of it. So for founders that have, I mean, that take branding seriously, what it means is that they are clear. There's clarity on who they are. There's clarity on what they want to achieve. There's clarity on why you should care about them. There's clarity on the culture they're trying to build. And then once there's clarity, the job of communicating it is less cumbersome, because now you know what you want to say. It is not just foggy words or easy words in your head. You have words for everything you want to say about your brand. So I think that is why it's important. And then for the other side of branding, which is every other thing around perception or how people who are necessarily not your users or your customers or your staff or your employee, how they perceive the company. So I say something which is that everything a brand does, everything you do, everything anybody does is a statement of promise. That's the way I see branding. Anytime I talk about branding, I should bring from this perspective. Everything anybody does is made of promise. So for instance, I'm talking to you now. The way you are sitting down is a promise to me that you are listening to me. So if I'm done talking and then you say, oh, I didn't hear anything you said, I will feel betrayed. Because everything about you promised me that you're listening to me. So because of that, I'm saying more. I'm putting into the conversation. If I was talking to you and you're maybe pressing your phone or you're looking somewhere else, maybe it might affect how I would speak to you. You understand? So everything you do as a human is a statement of promise. Everything a brand does is a statement of promise. So today, I go to your social media page and then everything looks well done. When I see that, I don't expect to chat with your customer support and I won't get excellent service. Because from what I see, from what I've been able to interact with, I can see a sense of excellence. I can see a sense of that these guys know what they are doing, that these guys care about me. I can see that care and attention put to everything I've seen. So when I take the next step to maybe interact with the brand or the product, I expect that level of excellence to shine through that process. So before anybody joins a company or before anybody eventually starts their day one or day zero at the company, they've interacted with plenty of people. They've interacted with the HR, they've interacted with the job site, with the recruiter, they've interacted with the ad. For instance, they've interacted with maybe someone that they know that works at a company. Every of these things is a statement of promise. It's like, okay, this is who we are. Based on this, and the other, this is what we can do. This is how we see ourselves. You understand? This is who we are. So when you take the next step to now maybe work with the company, everything you know about the company comes to the fore. And you're expecting that, oh, I expect this company to be this. So for instance, I used to say this very interesting thing. So visually, when you see someone's Instagram page visually, and then all you see there is black and white, like black and white filter. That's what they use on the Instagram page. If I see you in person and I see you wearing a purple t-shirt, I feel betrayed. Because I'm like, everything you've sold to me is black or white or gray, monochrome. So I can't see you and I'm seeing you wearing coat of many colors. I feel like, nah, this guy promised me something, but he's doing something else. So something as basic as that. Like if you see someone who, every time you see them, maybe online for instance, they don't even do black and white. All they do is that they wear black t-shirt, gray t-shirt, white t-shirt, and then when you see them wearing a red native and a blue cap. You're like, this is not this person. This person didn't tell you that they don't wear traditional. They didn't tell you that they don't wear cap or they don't wear native. But from what you see from them, you just feel like this is who this person is. So you expect things to happen with that person in that same direction, in that same vein. So that's a promise. You don't have to promise people You don't have to say that, oh, I promise you this. But once people interact with you, everything they, so yeah, it's like it's everywhere. You read someone's tweets, that person from their tweets, they look personable, they look gracious, they sound gracious and they like. And when you see them, the first time you saw them, they were slapping the conductor. You feel like, what? Like, you feel like this person has been lying to me all along. They didn't promise you that they can't slap people. But what you saw from them is that person that is good, that is soft, that is easy. Maybe you even see people abuse them online and then they didn't abuse the person back. They just maybe apologize. You now saw this person right in front of you, like fighting a conductor. Like, you kind of feel like maybe either of two things. Maybe this is not this person. Or this person, they've done something so bad for this person that the person is no longer themselves. But you still have an idea of that person in your head. So that's the way it works. So every interaction you have with anybody, with any brand, with any business, there is a promise that it brings to you. And you want them to be consistent with that promise to the end. You spoke to 3 people in a company, and then all the 3 of them, they acted in similar ways. They're soft, they're respectful, and then they said last day you have been interviewed, talk to the CEO, and then the CEO is just talking anyhow. The CEO is just being very, very harsh with you. You feel like, nah, is it the same company? So yeah, so that's the way it is. Yeah. Everything everybody does is a promise. So for instance now, let's say he's meeting you for the first time. He doesn't know you, but he came here and then you brought food for us. Like, we didn't even ask for food. I didn't even know you were coming. Sure, you get. You brought food for us. Now, when next he sees you, he sees that this guy is a good guy. He's hospitable. You understand?
You mean my wife?
Your wife. Okay, let's say you brought it. Let's say you brought it. Good. Let's say when you're coming, you bought it and you brought it here. Because like, this guy is hospitable. He cares about people in that sense. And let's say he now walks up to you. That my bros, I just lost my wallet. I need to get to Aja. And you say, I didn't want to sign. You said you even abused him. You understand? It feels like this guy that I met that day, he shouldn't abuse me. The worst to do is that, oh, sorry, I'm sorry, I can't help, or I don't have, and then the person. So I'm saying that everything everybody does, everything a brand does is like a statement of promise that you expect them to fulfill or to be consistent with when you interact with them anywhere, anyhow. You understand? So for instance, the way we've seen Apple devices, you can see that there's a level of care and detail that goes into it. So you now went for an event and then Apple has a booth at the event. Nobody should tell you that, like, Apple doesn't need to tell you that we're an excellent company, for you expect that their booths would be as painstaking as their devices. Yeah. Because that's like how you've seen them so far. You don't have any reason to doubt it. You understand? And once you even start seeing reasons to doubt a brand, then they are not consistent. Yeah. Then you can't trust them. I used to say something jokingly that if you know someone for what they are, like, this person is a bad person. Like, morning is bad, afternoon is bad, evening is bad. You name as a bad person. It's better than when you know someone as good, but it can be good today, bad tomorrow. For someone that is bad, you know what to expect from him. You understand? You know what to expect from this person. That this person, no, is a very stupid guy. Like, he's not good. But the other guy, like, you don't know what to expect. So a brand is such that you should know what to expect at every time, because you've interacted with them. You understand? And then that's what you're expecting. So Glow, there was one time Glow said that they are grandmasters of data. Do they still say it? Grandmasters of data. Now, Glow did not promise you that you'd have good internet, but they said they are grandmasters. So you're expecting that. Was that their tagline? Yeah. So you're expecting that. Yeah, and then what they promise you is that, don't worry, for 1,000 naira you can get a lot of data. So when you get to Akure, and then you brought your Glow SIM, and then you have your 100 gig, and internet is not going, you feel disappointed. But somewhere in your mind, you can't reconnect how or where Glow promised you that they will give you data. But MTN says everywhere you go. So when you get to a remote area, you're expecting that MTN network should be good here. You understand? It might not be excellent. It might not be the best service, but it is there. because they said everywhere you go. So I feel like that's even at the macro level. I'm even saying this from like the nitty-gritty, the soft, the things that you don't even pay attention to. You understand? Yeah. So everything a brand does, everything that comes from a brand or from anybody, is a statement of promise. So anytime I want to check out, for instance, I mean, there are people that process payments and the likes. There's a particular brand I see. Once I see that brand, a part of me is saying, this thing might not go through. Or if it doesn't go through, how do I track my money? How do I get my money back? There's another brand that once I see it, there's this sense of peace that even if it doesn't go, my money will come back. You know the funny thing? Even if my money doesn't come back, I may not be angry as if it doesn't come back for the other brand. How did I get to that point? Because they've built a brand that makes me trust them with my money. But the other guys, they've built a good business, but maybe for the level that I'm operating at, I just don't feel that level of conviction that my money will come back. Now, overall, it could be that if I'm to go data-wise, maybe I've even lost money from the other brand that I feel comfortable with, even more than the guys I don't feel comfortable with. But the brand they've built has given me a sense of trust. Yes, that we are working hard to make sure that your money doesn't hang. Even if it hangs, we'll try and get it back. Even if you don't get it back, trust us. That's brand. A brand B has not told me that they are working hard to. They've not told me any of those things. Maybe they're just focused on doing it, but they're not saying it. So that's why they didn't promise me. So I'm not really looking forward. There's nothing to benchmark against. But the other guys, they promised me. And then from experience from experience with them, I've seen that, okay, there is some level of painstaking detail. Every now and then I see these guys try to release features that make the payment thing easier. But the other guys, maybe they are doing it, but I don't see it. That's why, like, it's always good to promise as a brand. It's always good to say something, to put something outside. Because everything you are doing that you're not saying, you give people the benefit to say maybe they're not doing it, even if you're doing it, even when you're doing it. But everything you do and then you speak about it, it doesn't have to be in the format of you're selling it, but you speak about it. There's a sense of these guys care. These guys care about, deeply they care. The other guys are working, but maybe they're just not talking about it. So there's nothing to benchmark against. There's nothing in my mind that's been built up to trust them. So I wouldn't even say a bad brand. What I would say is a good business and a good brand. The other one is a good business. Now, they might have built something good, but I'm not seeing it like that. Or everything I'm seeing about them. You know, when they say that branding is more about what people see. It's less about what you do. Because everything you are doing, people interpret it. So it's more about, okay, how am I seeing this thing that is being done? Or what you are doing, is it being communicated to me the way I should receive it? So I wouldn't even say it's about bad brand, because I don't think ultimately nobody goes out to build a bad brand. What they do is that they don't go out, they are not careful about building a good brand. So eventually the brand just falls flat. You can be successful with a not so good brand. You can be very successful with a not so good brand. But what it means is that when there is problem, when there is like some challenges, there's something to fall back on. But for a business that's built a relatively good brand, there's nothing to fall back on. You understand? So for instance, it's just like they say that maybe Apple releases a product and then they said that entire product is bad. Like, that's bad business. But when Apple releases a new product, people will still buy it because they built a good brand. You understand? But if there's another company that haven't built a very solid brand and they release a product and the product is bad, they might not recover from that again because there's no equity to fall back on. There's something to say, oh, I've fallen from the sky. Oh, where am I landing on? You fall from the sky and you land on stone. You fall from the sky and you land on soft ground. Both of you fell, but one person will not die from that fall. One person will stand up immediately. The other person will probably struggle to stand up. I think that's the importance of brand. It's just like something to fall back on. And also, it's also like an amplifier. Because once you build a good brand, it means that it means you recruit ambassadors that you're not even sure of. Sorry, that you didn't even pay for. You understand? When people experience something good and something solid, they talk about it. They tell people about it. You understand? It becomes a point of conversation, and then people start hearing it. But if it's just good business and the likes, and people don't really see a sense of care, they don't feel any sense of connection to that business or to that organization, they probably won't talk about it. They might talk about it in good business, the product is very good, very solid, but then my warranty was due, and then I didn't enjoy the experience I had with them. You understand? So yeah, so I think it's more about there's a good brand that has done some painstaking activities or painstaking things to make things better, or to make things or to build a brand that I can say is built deliberately. And then there's another brand that all they've done is just build products, do businesses, but they've not made a lot of effort to carefully curate their brand or to carefully tell their own stories, either from digital or from people or from different means. Yeah. So I think that it is. I wouldn't say it's a bad brand, because nobody goes out and out to build a bad brand. Nobody. You understand? What people do is that they build good businesses, but they are not carefully, or they are not so particular about building a good brand. It doesn't mean that the brand is bad, because even good business, like if you have a good product, it's also an element of branding. A good product is an element of branding, because I this product works well. Like, I can trust it. You understand? For instance, there are some products I use in Nigeria that I'm like, I really don't care about maybe it's the best or anything, but it works. So a part of me, I trust them to an extent. But imagine that it now works, and I now see a sense of care, a sense of detail, you understand, in everything that they're doing, you understand. Then if I do that, if they do that, then I'll probably be more attached to them. Yeah. Or their messaging, like how they talk to you. When the app is not opening, what did they say? They just say red, no access. Or they say, hey, try again another time. Like all those little things, you just start building. It's just like I said, it's just like promise. You just start expecting things from them. And the more a brand fulfills your expectation, the more solid the brand is becoming in your mind. The more they fulfill their expectation, the more they meet it. Sorry, that's the word. The more they meet the expectation, they promise to you, the more they meet their expectation, the bigger or the much more solid that brand is to you. Yeah. Yeah. So how a brand makes a promise? Like I said, the best promises are not they are not made by you saying that, okay, this is who we are. They are not made by just making blanket statements. You understand? These promises are made by actions, inactions, the intangibles, I mean, so if I'm to say this in the sense of like practicality, I would say that how you make a promise is everything you do, everything that comes from you, you understand? Be it your color, a social media post, you heard the CEO talking at an event, you watched an interview that has a CEO, someone made a tweet about the company they work, someone spoke about maybe the initiatives, the events that they do. Oh, they say today they are doing a breakfast meeting for product managers. And you're like, why do these guys care about product managers? So yeah, everything you do that you are not probably even doing for people to notice. Maybe you're not even doing it to build that kind of perception. You understand? But everything you do as a brand, every way, every place you communicate, everywhere, anyhow you communicate, it is a promise. Like what I said initially was that everything you do and you don't do is a promise. You understand? So it is these promises that people see, that people perceive. That's how they build that perception in their head. You understand? You don't need to say it. You don't need to say, oh, this brand will make your payment seamless. Yes, but I want to hear that and see that. But I also want to see how every other thing is done. You understand? I want to see how when you release an ad, I want to see that thing you said inside that ad to strengthen that promise in my mind. You understand? I want to be able to hear. So at times when two people speak, two people are saying the same thing, but one person is saying it in a much more, maybe more passionate, maybe more, you can hear beyond what they are saying because maybe they are much more like they're speaking from their mind. They're speaking naturally to you. But the other person is saying exactly what the person is saying, but saying it in a different way. You understand? Different tone, different courage, different charisma, different delivery. And then you just feel like this person, I can believe this person more than this person. Not because they didn't say the same thing. Not because the person was doing exactly the opposite of what he's supposed to do. No. You just feel that from that intangible, from what you see, you feel like, I think I believe this more than this person. You understand? So, like I said, it's more in the intangible. So if you ask me, how did I get to trust this other brand? I may not be able to tell you exactly where and when. You understand? But it is a build-up. It could just be because maybe I saw a tweet one day and they said that, oh, this brand, when you join their company, they give you accommodation allowance. I'm like, interesting. I've not heard this before. It makes a mark on me. You understand? Or I wanted to join their company, and then I saw the JD. I saw how they put the JD. I saw how it was brief. You know, you see some JD, like this JD is just a lot. There's nothing in this JD. You just copied and pasted it. But when you read some JD, like, okay, this one looks like someone wrote it with care. Yeah. It could be that I go to their website, and then as I was scrolling through it, I mean, everything just comes together nice. And this is smooth. This is silk. This looks good. This feels good. You understand? But another thing about this thing called branding is that once someone makes a bad impression that is remarkable, it might be you need to do extra things to gain that trust back. Once someone breaks a trust, so for instance, I used a brand one time and then they charged me, but I think it wasn't complete. The stuff wasn't completed, but they charged me. You understand? What I did was that I called the bank. I complained. Nothing was done. Now, for me, I feel like eventually, I sent a mail to them. I copied CBN, and it was resolved in 24 hours. So in my mind, I'm like, these guys could have done this thing. Maybe they just didn't put process in place for them to do this thing more effectively. You understand? But for instance, I tried buying power last week. They donated my money, it didn't go through, and they funded me immediately. This is another brand, by the way. Now, if someone says that, this bank, their network is down, I feel like if I pay with them, if it doesn't go through, I'll get my refund. So there's that sense of trust. But if it's another brand that maybe even when network was good, they did not send me my money back, maybe it took like 1 week or 2 weeks for them to return the money, then I probably want to even do it. So I feel like it's just a lot of things. So once that trust is broken, once there is something remarkable that happens that is negative, you need a lot of more assurance. It's just like a friend betrays you. The friend that betrays you today, tomorrow you won't invite that person to your home to come and eat on your table now. You want that person to probably walk their way back. And what do they need to do? They need to do things that are extraordinary. That's when you see that maybe, there's a food delivery brand in Nigeria. They had a client one time, and the client was always complaining about them. What did they do? That client that was always complaining, they made him priority. So anytime he sends a complaint anywhere, it comes top. So it means that he's a special client. Now, they can't treat him like other people again, because they now need to make bigger statements to win him back in that sense. Now that's how it usually is. So when you do something to someone that is inherently like remarkably bad or remarkably not so pleasant, now to gain that person's trust back, you need to do more things. The person needs to see more from you. The usual things won't cut it. You understand? But it won't be a problem if, as a brand, there is that level of detail in your approach normally. That level of you don't have to have an issue with us. We'll treat you well normally. So once that happens, it is easier for that brand to just cover up, to just like meet up the expectation and then more like heal or rewrite that wrong in that sense. Yeah. If you need a chief brand officer to enact brand, then you don't need that person, because the work of brand is not the work of one person. The work of brand is not the work of having a custodian. You understand? It's just like so things are not done properly, then you brought in someone to make things right. That person will overwork themselves till they probably get frustrated, and then they get out of the way. You understand? So if you think you need a chief brand officer to build your brand, then you don't need a chief brand officer, because the work of brand building is not for one person. It's not for one department. That's why it should be first cultural. You understand? It should be first cultural. Let everybody in the team, everybody in the company, everybody in the organization, let them have a sense of like, this is what we want to do. This is how we want to achieve what we want to do. This is how painstaking we are. And they should also see this thing in the actions from the CEO. So for instance, you've built a brand that, anything we do, we are thorough about it. Anything we push to the market, we are so painstaking about it. Now, then just one Monday morning, in your stand-up, you said, hey guys, we have a product that we have to release in 3 days. A product that usually will take 3 weeks. Now, what you're telling them is that what you said, you really don't mean it. Because if you mean it, that everything you do is painstaking, you're doing it carefully, you're doing it thoroughly, then there's no way you expect them to build out a product that should take 3 weeks in 3 days. You've just told them that what you said, you are lying about it. But if, when you say these things about excellence, about the core values of the company, they can see you, they can see their leaders live out these core values, then it's a bigger reason to believe for them. Because those core values has left the pages of the strategy document. It has come to them live. They can see it. They can see how my boss, my CEO, my leader, they can see how they are living these things out. They are not just saying it, they are living it. Then it's stronger, you understand? So that's why I'm saying that the work of branding in an organization is not for the chief brand officer. Now, what does chief brand officer do? The chief brand officer is supposed to enact branding at the highest level, not at the lowest level. Now, the highest level means that he is leading conversations among the C-level executives that prioritize brand. He's making a case, you understand? He's making a strong argument for brand at that level. And then he's also interfacing with the other key stakeholders of other departments and making them understand, like, this is the direction of the company. This person is also leading brand initiatives for the company. You understand? So the person's work is not to ensure that the lowest of the lowest customer service representative, you understand, is thinking about the brand, because that would be almost an impossible job. That should come from the leadership. That should come from the when you read the code of conduct of the company, you should see it there. When you interact with your CEO, when you read the newsletter from your CEO, you should see these values clearly written there. You should see a sense of where the company is going. So that's why I think it's first cultural than an individual trying to make the changes happen. Now, to my thought about branding and marketing department, I don't think it makes a lot of sense to put branding under marketing, because those two things have different what's it called now? Different goals. Now for marketing is returns. Branding is not returns. Branding is perception. Branding is legacy. Branding is building a name, building something that can stand the test of time. Now, should a marketing person understand brand? Absolutely. Should a content person understand brand? Absolutely. But brand as a department should not be subject to marketing. I also feel, so a lot of startups, what they now do is that they have a brand designer, or they have someone like head of design, head of brand, and then that person is in charge of everything design in the company, both marketing. What happens is that there's a clash. The goals, so what I'm saying is that what they now do is that they have head of marketing, they have maybe head of design or head of brand and design, or head of design that is like head of brand in that sense. And now any design that goes, any design in the company now goes to the head of design. Now when it comes to marketing, there will be a clash, because the head of marketing and the head of design, their motivations are different. The head of marketing is thinking about how to convert this $1,000 to 10 million users. The head of design is thinking of how to adhere to the brand guideline, how to do good designs, how to do designs that are concerned with the brand. Now, when this happens, there will be a clash. And then if you think about it backward and forward, what should you prioritize? Should it be the returns, or should it be the design excellence? Now, this is what I think is a good resolution. Marketing department should have designers that work in marketing. Head of brand should have designers, brand that work in that department. Now, who approves designs? If it is marketing, marketing approves marketing designs. How brand comes in is that from a top level, the brand is reviewing, is having a sense of what they are doing. And anytime it feels like these guys need to be rerouted back to what we're supposed to do, he steps in. Maybe doesn't even wait for that time. He helps them in such a way, he provides as much support and as much resources and as much assets that makes them do work well. But he still leaves the approval of that design to the marketing. Because anytime something needs to go to the approval of different people who have different motivations, then there'll be clashes. So what I think is a good solve is that head of marketing designers who work in marketing, designers work in marketing. Now, there is a head of brand or head of design that is sitting in that head of brand role, or maybe a corporate communications lead, or a communications director or something. So someone that thinks about brand can now have design also in their department, but they're doing different things. The designer in marketing is attending to marketing design. The designer in brand is thinking of scaling the brand. Is working on initiatives for the brand. Is focusing on the other stakeholders that are not users. Is focusing on the team, talent. Is focusing on the leadership. Is focusing on the investors. Is focusing on every other stakeholder that are not the users. So the work of the brand in influencing marketing will not be at the top level, which is, as a department, we are always on the lookout to make work easier for every designer working on the brand. How? Provide them access that they need. If you see that there's a problem or there's a challenge they're facing, scale the system. You understand? Expand the system. Make the system ownable for them. Make the system something that they can work well with. You understand? So, but if you reduce branding, to be approving designs, then you don't understand what branding is. Branding should sit at a higher level. They should see the problem before it comes. They should solve the problem ahead. And when the problem comes and it wasn't solved ahead, they should provide solutions for it that can make everybody in the company, you understand, align better with the brand. So yeah, that's what my story would be. Marketing here, brand or design, or brand and design here. Now, marketing as their lead, they have designers that work under marketing. These designers don't need to be in the design team. You don't need to be in the design team. If you're in the design team, the head of design is not the one approving the designs for marketing, because there will always be a clash. I've seen it a lot of times, because what is motivating the marketing lead and motivating the design lead are totally different. And once that motivation is different, then what they see from creatives or from designs or from activities will be different. This one is thinking ROI. He's thinking of users. He's thinking of how do I convert these 2,000 leads or 2,000 people that click our ad? How do I convert them to sign up? That's what he's thinking about. But design is not thinking about that. He's thinking about, which for good reasons, everybody should focus on what they are thinking about, but you should also optimize them so that there are no clashes. This one focuses on their work. If you want to make any impact on marketing, it has to be from a top level. It can't be from daily, weekly, monthly approval of designs. Nah, it won't end well. So I didn't say there was only for a CBO. What I said is that the work of a CBO is not to push brand at the grassroots level or at a company-wide level. The work of a CBO is to push brand at the leadership level so that it influences everybody from top to bottom, not to bottom to top. If it's bottom to top, he will get frustrated. And that's why I said, when it comes to influencing the brand from the grassroots or from the lowest level to the highest level, it is more cultural than an individual sitting on that department to make it happen. So the work of a chief brand officer is not to drive brand in the company, like drive brand as a person, company-wide. He can do that, but he's not doing it from the grassroots. He's doing it from the top level, so that so he's doing it in such a way that it is spreading. It's from like an epicenter, like spreading wide. That everybody feels the impact. You understand? And then, like I said, it's not just about one thing. It's not just about, oh, let everybody have the guideline or let everybody go to a training that they are taught about the brand. No, it is more than that. It is in how is the company talking about the company to the company. It is how are the leaders, how are they communicating with their own team members. You understand? So, yeah, so it's not that chief brand officer is not important, but I feel like the work of the chief brand officer is not what we think it is. The work of the chief brand officer is more high level, is more stakeholder management, is more leadership engagement, is more working on initiative and ideas that can affect the company wide, that can affect the culture of the company wide. Yeah. Thank you.